Great to have you with us for this Thursday edition of ESPN FC. Alejandro Moreno, Paul Mariner, fresh off a birthday. Sebastian Salazar here in studio with you. We will also be joined throughout the show by Frank Leboeuf. In fact, he's going to be the first person to comment on the story that has been really making quite some controversy over the last few days here on the show and in the footballing world at large. Kylian Mbappé, this was from some comments on Sunday after he picked up a few football awards. I feel it is maybe the moment to have more responsibility. I hope that can perhaps be at PSG. That would be a great pleasure. Or maybe elsewhere with a new project. Everyone has been talking about what this means, what it doesn't mean. We've had our reaction here on the show. Frank, what's been the reaction in France?
Well, from the fans, it was quite okay. You know, everybody loves Kylian Mbappé. But media-wise, we all thought it wasn't the right time to say that. He came for an award. He talked about the chairman, Nasser El Khelaifi, giving his condolences, you know, because for the loss of a member of a family. And after, you know, saying that he wanted more responsibility. But what you have to translate when he says that is, I want more money. I want as much as Mr. Neymar. So that wasn't a very nice way to say it. It wasn't the right time to say it. And I think he shouldn't say it. That's it. He made a mistake. It doesn't go with everybody thinks about him. And before asking something, you know, you have to prove that you can do better. He did well the first leg against Manchester United, but didn't do anything the second leg. Was quite inexistent after and got a red card in the French Cup. So everybody wants to see more about him. And obviously, what he says doesn't put a peace in the club and in the dressing room because of maybe what Neymar can think about it.
Paul, we haven't heard yet from you on this. Stevie said Billy Big Time to kind of describe Kylian Mbappé after these comments. Was that too harsh, Paul?
Yeah. I think it was. Look, there's nobody got more respect for Mbappe than me. I thought it was absolutely sensational in that World Cup. Look, the guy's ambitious. He's 20 years of age. He's ambitious. He wants to be the man. And at the present moment, Neymar is sort of blocking him from being the man. Now, if Neymar was to move to possibly, we'll hear about Real Madrid, or if Neymar stays and Mbappe goes to Real Madrid, then I think it's all going to work out fine. I've got no doubt that Mbappe will be perfectly fine. Whether it's PSG and they build a team around him, or whether it's at Real Madrid. Wherever he goes, this kid is the guy to build a team around.
It just feels, and I think Frank alluded to it, that it's out of character for Kylian Mbappe, because one of the reasons that we all think very highly of Kylian Mbappe is not only what he does on the field, but the way that he cares in that. If Neymar's demanding that, then maybe you should, because you're scoring the goals, because you're being more impactful than Neymar, because you're more important to PSG than Neymar. And if you have people around you that continue to feed that onto you, then you start believing it. And
he's only 20. We've got to remember that. He's 20 years of age.
Correct. And so then at that point, you start saying, well, yeah, they have a point. What they're saying is right. Yes, I am more important, and I should be the guy with the responsibility, and I should be the guy at the forefront. It shouldn't be Neymar. He has to be very careful. If indeed there are people around him pointing him in that direction, he has to be very careful, and he has to understand that he is only 20 years old, and that there's plenty for him to achieve in this game yet. And if the ceiling for him is as high as he wants it to be. So get rid of the people around you that may be pointing you in the wrong direction, and make sure that you hold true to yourself.
This is quickly turning into Mbappé versus Neymar. Frank, I wonder, is this a threat to Neymar's control over PSG, and is that a problem for PSG?
Well, in the side of Neymar, you know, we the words, now we want to see the actions, because on the money time, he's been there for 2 years. He's always been injured during that money time. So it's hard to say Neymar right now is the master of the team, is the captain of the dressing room. It's impossible because he wasn't there at the right time. Of course, he has a better pass than Kylian Mbappé because Kylian Mbappé just started. But the real star of the club right now is Kylian Mbappé. And when Neymar wasn't there, that Cavani wasn't there, Mbappé did very, very well. So it's hard to say, and I agree with Alejandro and Paul Mariner, he's only 20. I think he made a mistake, but he's right. is right. He's the best player right now and should have the best wage. But he's 20, he has to be a little bit patient. It can be a risk of destroying the dressing room, even his relationship with Neymar. They are good friends. So what Neymar think about it, I don't know, I don't have the answer. But I'm pretty sure he's not really well appreciated.
Ale, where do you think this leaves Neymar? We know why he went to PSG, to get away from Messi, to be the guy. This would certainly not suggest he's going to be the guy there much longer.
What I can tell you is that if indeed Neymar's motive was to be the man, the guy, away from Messi, and then this is going to be my team and I'm going to carry this team, well, it's impossible to do that when you're not there, as Frank just said, when the team needs you the most. When you have become sort of a cartoon character of yourself because you're doing all sorts of things that doesn't lead to results out on the field. So when you do all the pretty things, right, and PSG's not winning important games, all those pretty things, they don't count for anything. So there's got to be more substance to what you bring to a club. And Mbappe, as he continues to score goals, and he continues to grow up, and he continues to mature, he becomes unstoppable. And so then you have to make a decision as a club. Well, who is the player that is really going to take us to where we need to go? And if it's not Neymar, because for whatever reason it hasn't worked out over the last couple of seasons, then financially you start to plan and you say, wait a minute, if we're going to invest on somebody, where is the future for us? At this point, you have to say Mbappe over Neymar.
You with that, Paul? You think it's...
Look, I think it's admirable that a 20-year-old... Yes, he's a fantastic player, incredible footballer. And I agree with Ali about the way he's conducted himself up until these recent quotes. Let's assume that the quotes are not quite what he wanted to say, and he has been influenced. But isn't it refreshing when you get a 20-year-old superstar that wants more responsibility, that wants to take a team on his own shoulders? I mean, it's quite remarkable. And I'll tell you what, the massive teams throughout the world will be taking note of this, and they'll think there was no doubt that we can build a team around this kid. Absolutely, 100%.
But there's no problem in him wanting more responsibility. It's when he then follows up that with saying, here at PSG, or maybe somewhere else. That's when that's when there's a problem, because then you have to question, wait a minute, I thought we were all in PSG. It was all full commitment in PSG. How come that has changed now?
Frank, if we are headed to a choice here, Mbappe or Neymar, who do you think the fans would want to keep?
Well, 100% Neymar has to go. He didn't do what we are expecting him to do because he was injured, but also because of controversy, or because of being injured and going to the Rio Carnival, not seeing last year the finals of the French Cup with his teammates, and not really showing that he's really involved with the club and wants to be completely part of that club. So Mbappe is a guy from Paris. He was born and raised in Paris, in Bondy exactly, and wanted to be in Paris. And he is the best player. He is the guy who attracts the others, the fans. So, of course, you have to give him what he wants. And again, Alejandro, I agree with him when he says that it's the end of the speech who is bad, about I'm going to maybe somewhere else. That's the problem. But otherwise, everybody wants Mbappe to stay. Neymar can go. I don't think it doesn't bother the fans really much.
The Mbappe saga continues. If you ever miss an episode of the saga that is this show, check out the podcast, available on ESPNFC.com or on iTunes. Frank, we opened the show, talk about Kylian Mbappe. Let's switch gears. Antoine Griezmann. A lot has been made a year ago of his announcement to stay at Atletico Madrid. Now he's telling the club that he's leaving. How do you think he's handled the situation?
I think it's a good decision for him. I think he didn't do well. The club didn't do very well. I think Antoine is a fantastic player, and now he has to know something else. He has to go to another level. Whether it's going to be in Barcelona or maybe in Paris or somewhere else, but he has to try something else. I think with Simeone, it's quite difficult when you are, especially when you play at front, to show all your qualities. And Antoine did it well, but he also learned how to defend. But I think we could feel a little bit of a frustration at the end of the day. So I think I'm very happy that he left, that he didn't do a 50 minutes program to announce that he was leaving, like he did last year to say that he was staying. But I think it's a good decision to leave. Now we want to see where he's going to go.
You know, when we were talking about Mbappe jumping over Neymar at PSG, I wonder if it's the same on the French national team. Is Griezmann now kind of second fiddle to Mbappe?
Well, a little bit, and you have to share also with Pogba as well. You know, Pogba is a big personality, and everybody was saying Griezmann and Pogba, big friends. You know, being maybe the kings of the dressing room, and suddenly appeared Mbappe, and Mbappe is a jewelry. And he's a diamond, and everybody loves him. He's well educated, he talks well. Griezmann, we don't really know him. He was almost born football-wise in Spain, where Mbappe comes from Paris, was played in the Liga in Monaco, now Paris. So everybody already...
Frank, you mentioned Paul Pogba. Obviously, Manchester United considering, if the reports are to be believed, giving him the captaincy in an attempt to maybe get him to stay at Old Trafford. How do you think being captain would suit Pogba?
Well, he has the personality to do so, and I remember when Mourinho left, he became kind of a captain in the team, in the dressing room, and showed how much important he was and how good he was. He was maybe and for sure the best player during that time. The problem with Paul seems to be that he doesn't last. He doesn't last performance-wise, where suddenly we lose a little bit of Paul. And when you're a captain, you have to be there week in, week out, making sure that everybody is happy, everybody works together. That's not only just shouting to the friends or having the armband. It's not only that. It's everything and the big day work. So I don't know if Paul can do it. He did well with the national team, not being a captain, but being one of the important guy in the dressing room. I'm pretty sure he can do it in Manchester United. The problem is, for me, the question is, will he want to stay in Manchester United?
Yeah, no Champions League football. Paul, what do you think? Would Pogba be a good fit, a good choice as a captain?
Look, Paul Pogba, when he's fit and raring to go and he's on your side, is a fantastic player. There's not many better midfield players in the world.
I feel like there's a but coming.
Solskjaer's got to pull him to one side and got to explain to him what he requires from him. And Pogba will be quite within his rights to say, well, look, Gaffer, you need to get some better players around me. Because let's face facts. Paul Pogba, when he's in the right frame, with the right players around him, is a sensational footballer. Look at Juve, look at... I don't think it is his fault. I think what you've got to do as a football club, you cherish this player because he is a difference maker. You've got to put the right players around him. Now, that's the job now of Solskjaer and all the backroom staff at Manchester United. That's what they've got to do.
I agree with you that this is a tremendous talent. But I can also tell you that within the boundaries of the description of what a captain should be, there's got to be a sense of commitment, responsibility, leadership, consistency of performance, and of all those things, you can directly point the finger at Paul Pogba and say, over the last couple of months of this season, when this team was going sideways and backwards, where was that presence? Where was that leadership? Where was that consistency of performance? I know he cannot account for everybody else on the field, but he himself was not playing well, and he himself was not carrying a team, and he himself was not a leader of a group that needed leadership out on the field. So it's difficult for me to turn around based on that evidence and say, yeah, here, Paul, here's a captain's armband, you take us forward. Based on that, I'm not so sure that that's the right decision.
Pogba as captain, a conversation that is sure to continue, maybe on extra time. I know that for